On Thursday, President Trump signed an executive order aimed at significantly reducing the role of the Federal Department of Education. Flanked by students and educators, Trump outlined plans to transfer most education policy decisions to state and local boards, a move that has alarmed liberal education advocates.
After 45 years, the United States spends more money on education by far than any other country, and spends likewise by far more money per pupil than any country, and it's not even close. But yet we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success.
While the order is a step toward dismantling the department, a full shutdown would require congressional approval, which Trump currently lacks.
But we're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do, and it's going to work. Absolutely, it's going to work.
Trump's order follows efforts to reduce federal government size, including layoffs at the Department of Education. His administration seeks to cut federal involvement in education, emphasizing local control and a shift away from policies that conservatives see as fostering liberal indoctrination. Worldwide News Report. On March 20th, Ukrainian President Zelensky arrived in Norway after visiting Finland, continuing his diplomatic efforts to end the war with Russia. Norway recently increased its financial aid to Kyiv and continues to back Ukraine's efforts in the conflict.
Norway is at Ukraine's side in this very dramatic situation. You are among friends, Volodymyr. Norway has a broad support to Ukraine, unanimous support in Parliament for supporting Ukraine in its defense, in its development, and in its quest for liberty.
Following a call with Trump, Zelensky expressed hope for a ceasefire on energy strikes, though warned of retaliation if terms were violated. At a White House event, President Trump revealed that the U.S. is set to sign a minerals deal with Ukraine soon. This follows talks with both Russia and Ukraine, with a focus on Ukraine's critical mineral resources to help fund the country's recovery.
And moments ago, I also signed an executive order to dramatically increase production of critical minerals and rare earths. It's a big thing in this country. And as you know, we're also signing agreements in various locations to unlock rare earths and minerals and lots of other things all over the world. But in particular, Ukraine, we're doing very well with regard to Ukraine and Russia. And
Worldwide News Report.
signing a deal very shortly.
On March 20th, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer was pictured aboard a nuclear submarine, marking the first time in over a decade that a UK Prime Minister has done so. Starmer met submariners returning from patrol, and later visited a facility in northwest England to begin construction on a new Dreadnought-class submarine, replacing the Vanguard class. As international military planners meet in London to discuss peacekeeping options for Ukraine, Starmer's office confirmed that a significant number of countries are willing to contribute troops to support Ukraine in the event of a peace deal with Russia.
You'll want to find almost certainly the nationality, if there is a single head of this force. That nationality will be quite an important question. It's the same in UN peacekeeping missions as well, even if they're not a national deployment. There are some nationalities that are significantly more provocative to one or more of the warring sides than the other, and equally a lot is reassuring to one or more of the warring sides.
Despite growing international support, Russia has firmly rejected the idea of NATO troops being stationed in Ukraine as part of a peacekeeping mission.
The rules of engagement and the rules of self-defense and what to do if the peacekeeping or stabilization mission is in any way attacked, these are some of the most vexing and difficult questions to grapple with. One would assume they'd also be part of any negotiation that gives this kind of force a mandate.
Worldwide News Report.
At its annual GTC 2025 conference, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang revealed the company's latest AI chip advancements. The highlight was the Isaac N1, the world's first open humanoid robot foundation model, alongside simulation frameworks aimed at speeding up robot development. Nvidia also announced a partnership with General Motors to develop AI systems for autonomous vehicles and factory workflows. GM will use Nvidia's AI chips and software for autonomous tech and driver assistance systems. Huang introduced new chips, including the Blackwell Ultra, featuring enhanced memory for larger AI models. He also teased upcoming innovations, along with powerful new workstations made by Dell, Lenovo, and HP, marking a strong challenge to Apple's top-end machines. Worldwide News Report.
On March 23, Ukrainian delegation in Riyadh for constructive talks with U.S. officials. Discussions focused on the energy sector, with a particular emphasis on protecting Ukraine's critical infrastructure. Ukrainian President Zelensky called the talks useful as the U.S. continues its diplomatic push to end the ongoing conflict with Russia.
Вже друга зустріч української та американської команд в Саудівській Аравії. Цього разу більш технічного рівня наші військові, наші дипломати, наші представники Міністерства енергетики. Щойно я говорив з Рустемом Умєровим, він доповів мені про зустріч, про хід перемовин. Наша команда працює абсолютно конструктивно. Розмова достатньо корисна. Робота делегацій триває.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff expressed optimism that Russian President Putin is seeking peace.
I just don't see that he wants to take all of Europe. This is a much different situation than it was in World War II. In World War II, there was no NATO. So you have countries that are armed there. To me, I take him at his word in this sense. So I feel that he wants peace. The president had 2 very productive calls this week.
Despite tensions, a potential partial ceasefire is on the table, with discussions set to continue on March 24. The hope is for a lasting resolution, though challenges remain. Worldwide News Report.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk were spotted together at the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championship in Philadelphia on Saturday. The two prominent figures shared the spotlight as they cheered on the wrestlers, with Trump engaging with fans and Musk praising the heavyweight championship match. Trump is always a supporter of wrestling, and he congratulated both athletes after the fight. This appearance marks the latest chapter in the growing public bond between Trump and Musk, who previously attended UFC 309 together and spent time golfing. Despite some controversies surrounding Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, their alliance remains strong, with both men continuing to support each other in public events. Worldwide News Report.
On March 22, President Donald Trump made headlines by revoking the security clearances of former presidential rivals Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, along with former Secretary of State Antony Blinken. In a late memorandum, Trump stated it was no longer in the national interest for these individuals to access classified information. This move follows his earlier revocation of Joe Biden's clearance and signals the deepening political divide in Washington. The memorandum also targeted other Trump critics, including former Republican Representative Liz Cheney, Jake Sullivan, Fiona Hill, and Adam Kinzinger. This move, though symbolic, adds to the growing rift, especially as former presidents traditionally retain intelligence access. Biden had previously revoked Trump's security clearance in 2021. Worldwide News Report.